In the Ori village, there lived two best friends, Chioma and Chinyere. Chioma was an only child, but Chinyere had an older sister called Olachi. Since they were little, for as long as they had remembered, Chioma and Chinyere were best of friends. They played together, ate together, went to the stream together, and spent their whole day together. They even slept in each other's homes sometimes. Their parents knew that they were each other's best friends. They were like sisters. Anywhere you see Chioma, Chinyere was there. Anywhere you see Chinyere, Chioma was also there. Because Chinyere was the outspoken one, she always protected Chioma from bullies because Chioma was petite when she was younger. They both had nicknames for themselves. They called each other Nkem. Nkem means my own. As time went on, they became of marriageable age. They had suitors ask for their hand. Chinyere, being the prettier one and the outspoken one, had more suitors. However, her eyes was on Chinedu. He was the most handsome and wealthiest one. He lavished so much on her and bought whatever she wanted. She was happy and excited. She wanted to marry him. The only problem was that no one really knew Chinedu's background. He had come to the village a few years back. He had no parents here and no siblings, no extended family. No one really knew his background. He claimed to be a farmer, but no one knew the true source of his wealth. Chioma pointed out this to Chinyere, saying that Chinyere should take some time to study Chinedu. But Chinyere said she loved him and he loved her. That was all that mattered. He spoiled her with anything she wanted, making her the center of his world. She said she was going to marry him. Chinyere said Chioma was jealous of her because she had had many suitors, and because of this, Chioma was jealous. This brought a rift between both friends, and they had a fight. The following days, Chinedu had paid Chinyere's bride price, and their traditional wedding was set. On hearing this, Chioma stood up and went to Chinyere to squash their beef. If Chinyere's parents had accepted Chinedu, who was she to say no? So, Chioma and Chinyere became best of friends again. After the wedding, Chinyere took Chioma to her new home, her husband's home. It was so big, it had so many rooms, and Chioma was amazed. Chinyere showed her around the house. They came upon a locked door, and Chioma tried to open it, but Chinyere told her not to, that her husband has told her not to go into that room. Chioma was surprised, but she left it. As the days went by, something strange was happening. The once outspoken, vibrant Chinyere became very gloomy and sad. She seemed to lose weight drastically every day. There were dark circles under her eyes. Her sister Olachi was worried. She told Chioma to go and visit Chinyere at her home, as Chinedu had banished Olachi, her sister, and her parents from visiting her. So Chioma went to Chinyere's house. Once at the entrance, she called out to Chinyere, but no one responded. Then she went into the house. She saw Chinyere sitting on the stool, looking blankly at nothing. It seemed that she had lost so much weight, and she was becoming a shadow of herself. Chioma called out to Chinyere, but Chinyere did not respond. Chioma got closer and said, "Nkem, it's me, Chioma, your best friend." But still, Chinyere did not respond. In fact, up to now, Chioma did not notice that Chinyere did not even acknowledge her presence. She didn't even turn her head. From her peripheral vision, Chioma saw a black shadow coming towards her. It had red eyes. Then she turned immediately out of fear to see what it was, and she saw Chinedu. He looked very angry and in fact had an evil look. He shouted, "What are you doing here?" And Chioma said, I came to visit my friend Chinyere. I haven't seen her for months. And Chinedu said, get out of here. You can see that Chinyere is fine. Because Chinyere did not step in or speak up, Chioma had to leave. Chioma went to Olachi and Chinyere's mother and told them what she had witnessed. Chinyere's mother was crying. If she had known, she wouldn't have allowed her daughter to marry Chinedu. Even if she was sick, why wouldn't he let her family come to take care of her? It was Chinyere's father that said they had to go to the oracle. The oracle will advise them. Once there, the chief priest told them that what Chioma had seen was an efu. Chioma's father asked, what is an efu? The chief priest responded and said, an efu is an empty shell. It is the body of a human in the living world while the spirit has been banished into limbo. If the spirit and the body is not reunited, the body will perish and fade away, and the spirit will not be able to ascend to its ancestors. Upon hearing this, Chinyere's mother started crying. Chinyere's father asked, what is the solution? What can we do? And the chief priest said, this type of magic is very powerful. It's very evil. To break it, you have to break the mirror that traps the spirit. But it's difficult. You have to find the mirror. And when you break the mirror, the evil spirit cannot be there. Upon hearing this, Chioma remembered the locked room in Chinyere's house. She spoke out and said, I have a plan. The next day, Chinyere's father invited all the men of the village to come for a meeting. He specifically asked that Chinedu attend the meeting. Once all the men were gathered in his compound, Olachi and Chioma went to Chinedu's house. Once there, they saw Chinyere at the same spot, as if she had never moved. If it was even possible, she had lost more weight. She looked like a skeleton. Olachi shouted, Chinyere, it's me, your sister. She did not respond. Chioma tapped Olachi and said, let's go, let's look for the mirror first. So they searched the whole house. They came to the locked room, and because it was locked, they had to break it open. Once opened, the whole room was dark. They couldn't see anything. Olachi had to get a lantern. Once they entered the room, they saw that there was only one object in the room. A tall object at the end of the wall. It was covered with material. So they took out the material, and behold, they saw a mirror. In the mirror, they could see the faces of different girls screaming for help. Please help us. Girls from different tribes. Chioma and Olachi were transfixed. They were shocked. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. How is this possible? And then they saw her. It was Chinyere. She cried, please help me. And then Chioma and Olachi came to their senses. They went to the back of the mirror and pushed it down with all their might. The mirror broke into 1,000,000 pieces. And as it did, there were lights that went up. With each light, they could hear, thank you. They looked up at the entrance of the room. There standing was Chinyere. For the first time in a long time, Chinyere said, Nkem, and then she collapsed. Because she was weak, sickly, and very fragile, they had to carry her. As they were moving out, Olachi could smell smoke. She turned and saw that the pieces of the mirror were going up in flames. And then she told Chioma, we have to leave this place. This place is going to burn. And immediately they left, the whole house went up in flames. At the same time in the meeting venue, Chinedu started screaming, please help me, my body is burning. But because Chinyere's father had informed the villagers of what was going on, no one came close to him. And then Chinyere's father said, you have to confess. Confess if you want us to help you. And then he confessed that he had entered a covenant with an evil spirit. He was to produce the souls of virgins to the spirit, and the spirit will give him wealth. Chinedu died, and his body was thrown into the evil forest. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please In a small quiet village called Efik, there lived a boy named Esosa. He was a gentle and kind person. His mother instilled in him a sense of morality and an unwavering dedication to his passion, which was singing. People described his voice like that of an angel. When he sang, people would stop and listen to him. His father did not like this. To him, a boy had to be a hunter or a farmer. Singing was for girls and would not provide an income for Esosa. His father would hit him anytime he sang. When Esosa was young, his mother left his father because of his aggressive behavior. During this time, a woman who leaves her husband was banished out of the village. So Esosa had to grow up with his father. Esosa continued to sing despite his challenges, but to appease his father, he became a carpenter. However, singing was his true passion. One night, as he was singing at the market square with a large crowd, Abu, Femi, and Bossa came upon Esosa. They heard his voice and liked it, and they could see that the villagers liked it as well. They went up to Esosa and told him that they could help him make his passion profitable if he allowed them. Because Abu, Femi, and Bossa were known to be shrewd businessmen in the village, Esosa agreed to this. After all, they were older and more experienced than he was. With their help, Esosa was able to sing before the king and other kings in the coming weeks. The king loved his voice and would ask Esosa to perform anytime he had royal dignitaries from other villages. Other kings would hear his voice and in that spirit would enter a diplomatic agreement with the Efik village. After each performance, Esosa will receive 50 cowries from Abu and his friends. With the money he made, Esosa traced his mother and brought her back to the village. Because she couldn't stay in the same house with his father due to the tradition as a divorced woman, he built a house for her. He would give his father 15 cowries, give his mother 25 cowries, and keep 10 cowries for himself. And so it was. Abu and his friends would ask Esosa to perform all day, every day, and after a while, Esosa became weak and tired. Because he loved singing, he didn't complain. One day, when he went to visit his mother, she asked him, "How much is Abu paying you?" And Esosa said, "Abu pays me 50 cowries." Esosa's mother was surprised. "It cannot be," she said. "At the market square, I heard when they said Esosa should be making up to 5,000 cowries. He is performing before kings." Esosa did not believe this. This had to be a rumor. But to confirm, Esosa went to the chief treasurer of the palace. The man told Esosa that yes, indeed, he gives Abu and his friends 8,000 cowries for Esosa's performance. Disappointed, Esosa confronted Abu, Femi, and Bossa. At first, they denied it. Esosa persisted. Then, they confessed and promised that they will refund him the outstanding balance. With this, Esosa was relieved. He went home happy, believing that it was just a misunderstanding. The following night, after his performance, Abu and his friends asked Esosa to meet them at the forest spot. There, they would give him his balance. So, Esosa went there to meet them. He was smiling when he came upon the three men. Before he could speak, Femi brought out a large, big hammer and struck Esosa's head. Esosa fell and died immediately. Then they threw his body into the forest. The next morning, the three men went to Esosa's house to ask his father to show them where Esosa kept the songs he wrote. At first, Esosa's father said no, that they would have to pay him before he tells them where Esosa keeps the songs. And then they paid him 50 cowries. With that, Esosa's father showed them the cupboard where Esosa kept his songs. The three men took them and sold it to other people for 50,000 cowries during the past weeks. One night, Femi woke up suddenly. He was sweating. He got up because he believed he had heard something, but he didn't know what it was. As he stood up to get his wrapper, he saw a man standing at the window. Then he went outside to see the man, wondering why he was at his window at this time of the night. When he went outside, he didn't see anyone. He thought to himself, has this man left already? Why was he here? Then Femi entered back into his house. As he entered back, he sat on his bed, and again he saw the man at the window. Then again he went outside at the spot where the man should be standing, but he didn't see anyone. At this point, Femi was getting very angry. So he went back inside, and there again the man was there standing at the window. Femi wasn't liking this. Then Femi shouted, I will stop this, it is not funny. Because the man seemed like a shadow, he couldn't see it was clearly. But the next thing, the man began to come into focus. He slowly turned and looked at Femi. Femi's eyes opened like a saucer. His mouth fell open and then he fell down on the ground. He looked at the man and cried, please, no, please forgive me. It had been 2 weeks now and Esosa's mother had not seen Esosa. She was getting worried. She went to Esosa's father's house, but because she was a divorced woman, she couldn't enter the compound. So from the gate, she shouted at the top of her voice, where is Esosa? Esosa's father came out. He was angry and said, woman, what do you want? And she asked, where is Esosa? Have you seen him? And he said, no. And the woman said, how can you not see your son and you're not worried? Esosa's father was angry and went back into his house. Esosa's mother then went to the palace to tell the king that she had not seen Esosa for a while. But because she was a divorced woman, she was not allowed to go into the palace. So one of the royal guards relayed her message to the king. Because Esosa was a favorite of the king was indeed curious, because before now Esosa should have performed for him. Then the king sent for Abu. Abu said Esosa had traveled to a neighboring village to perform. Everyone was surprised at this. Usually Esosa would have told his family or the king that he was going out to perform. His mother, however, did not believe this. In the coming days, the livestock were dying. There were dead goats, chickens on the road, and people were falling sick. The king, who was worried, asked the chief priest what was happening, and the chief priest said, there is an innocent soul deep in the forest that is crying out for justice. Upon hearing this, the king, the chief priest, and his cabinet members went to the forest to appease the spirits. Little did they know that they would come upon Esosa's lifeless, decomposed body. The whole village was sad. Everyone cried. Esosa was their beloved son, one whose voice had attracted foreigners to their village. Who could have done such a thing? Then the king sent for Abu and his friends and told them to confess what happened to Esosa. It was at this time that Femi confessed that he had been having sleepless nights, that Esosa has been tormenting him day and night because they killed him. Abu, Femi, and Bossa were executed. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you liked it, please hit the like Olachi, Nkiru, and Ogechi were best friends. They had known each other for years. When they became of marriageable age, Ogechi got married off first. Then Olachi. Nkiru was yet to get married. After 5 years of marriage, Ogechi had given birth to two beautiful children. She was so happy as she had married a loving husband who supported her. Olachi, on the other hand, had gone through two miscarriages. Her husband was always hitting her. He maltreated her and abused her. Olachi was not happy. She was always sad. She told her friends Ogechi and Nkiru. Her friends were always very sympathetic towards her. They would encourage her and give her moral support. It was Ogechi who told her that she has to leave the marriage. However, Olachi said she was worried as to what people would think. After all, a divorced woman was shunned. One day, Olachi stayed up all night waiting for her husband to get back from the farm. She had prepared his meal and kept it on the table. But because he came in so late and Olachi had slept off, the food had gone cold. When he got home and saw this, he was angry. He slapped Olachi as she was sleeping. Olachi woke up in shock, but because he had hit her while she was sleeping, her heart had stopped and then she collapsed and died. Ogechi felt bad, telling herself that if she had tried more, Olachi would have left her husband, because Ogechi suspected that Olachi's husband Chinedu had done something to her and that's why she had died. But Olachi's husband Chinedu went around telling people that she died in her sleep. A month after Olachi's death, Chinedu married Nkiru. Ogechi was shocked. She said, "After all he had done to Olachi, how can you marry him? After all, he's your best friend's husband." But Nkiru did not care. She said Chinedu loved her and she was not as gullible as Olachi. So Nkiru moved in with her husband and lived with him. One day as she was sleeping at home, she started hearing noises. When she woke up, she realized the noises were coming from the kitchen, and then she went to the kitchen. When she got there, she saw no one. She was confused and perplexed. As she turned to leave, she saw Olachi standing at the door. Olachi was looking directly at her. When Nkiru saw this, she screamed and shouted, "What are you doing here?" And then she fainted on the floor. When Nkiru woke up, she saw her husband standing over her. He was shouting at her, saying, "Why are you sleeping around? Where is my meal?" And then Nkiru stood up and told him what she had seen. But he did not believe her and he slapped her. This was the first time, but not the last. In the coming days, Olachi haunted Nkiru's nights and her husband beat her during the day. Nkiru became a shadow of herself. She was always crying, she was sad. She was always afraid of staying home alone because Olachi will appear at certain times. To save herself and to get rid of Olachi, she went to the chief priest. He gave her a white substance, telling her to cook a meal and put it in the meal. The meal will serve as an offering to Olachi, who will eat it and leave her house alone. So Nkiru did as she was told. When she got home, she prepared a meal with the white substance and put it on the table. She waited for hours, but Olachi did not appear, and then she slept off. As she was sleeping, Chinedu came back home. He saw the meal on the table and ate it. Immediately after eating it, he went blind, and then he screamed, "What have you done?" Nkiru heard this and woke up. She asked what happened, and then Chinedu explained that he had just eaten the meal on the table and he went blind. It was at that time that Nkiru understood what was happening. Chinedu kept shouting. He stood up and accused Nkiru of poisoning him. Then he wanted to hit her. As he approached her, he fell down. When he fell down, Olachi then appeared. She stood and watched him as he was on the ground. Then she looked at Nkiru. Nkiru screamed and ran out of the house. That was the last time she was in that house. She never came back. And so, Chinedu the blind man lived with the spirit of his first wife. He had no one to help him, although he would hear noises. At first, he thought it was Nkiru, but when he called out to Nkiru, no one answered. But for days, no one responded. Then he thought to himself, maybe Nkiru was right, and it is Olachi that is in the same house with him. But because he could not see, he couldn't confirm it. And so he lived in fear, praying that Olachi, the spirit, will not harm him. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please, if you enjoyed it, hit the Once upon a time, there lived a man called Ikenna from the Ako village. Despite his intelligence and kindness, Ikenna found it difficult to find a woman to marry. He was always overlooked. Ikenna's stature was not imposing, and his physical appearance did not conform to the traditional standards of attractiveness held by many in the village. He was not tall, dark, and handsome. However, what he lacked in height he made up for in spirit. He was known for his warm smile and his kind nature. This is what Ugochi, the chief's daughter, liked about him. Ikenna did not know that Ugochi liked him. He thought that she was just being kind to him. But Ugochi did in fact like Ikenna. She wanted to marry him, but she didn't know how to convince her father. Her father wanted her to marry a warrior, a strong, tall giant who would protect her. Ikenna was far from that. For years, the Ako village was at war with the Nguru village. No one remembered why they hated each other, but they did. The Nguru king wanted to claim the Ako land. One day, Ugochi fell ill. She was in a coma and could not wake up. All attempts to wake her up proved abortive. The Nguru king said that he had given Ugochi poison using one of his spies. Ugochi had only 3 months to live and she would die. To avoid this, her father, the chief, had to surrender his lands to the Nguru king. The Ako chief was furious. He sent all his warriors to conquer the Nguru king and people and get the antidote to the poison. They fought for months but with no success. Ugochi was getting closer to the end. In desperation and sadness, the Ako chief he announced that any Ako man who could save his daughter will have her hand in marriage. When Ikenna heard this, he said to himself that he wanted to marry Ugochi. But what can he do? If the warriors were not able to succeed, what can he do? A voice said to him, instead of strength, why not use your kindness? You are a kind and compassionate man. You see the world in a different way. Ikenna did not know what to make of this, but the next day he set for the Nguru village. He went to the Nguru people as a stranger, taking out any tribal symbols of the Ako people on him. When he got to the Nguru land, he blended well with their people. He found out that their people did not like their king. They wanted peace and prosperity, but the Nguru king was consumed with greed and wanted the Ako land for his own selfish needs. The people preferred the king's nephew, Agunna, but Agunna was under lock and key and could not escape. Ikenna looked around and saw that the Nguru people were suffering. On one hand, they had a wicked king, and on the other hand, they were afraid that the Ako people would kill them. Ikenna then hatched a plan. He went to the prison where Agunna was locked up. He saw that although he was young, he was very kind and wise. Agunna accepted Ikenna's help to free him. However, Ikenna wanted to know the antidote to the poison that was given to Ugochi. This made Aguna sad and crushed all his dreams of freedom. Although he knew what and where the antidote was located, it was very difficult for one to get there and come back alive. Ikenna was not worried. He wanted to know the location of the antidote. Aguna told him the antidote was a pink flower. It was very rare and only grew in the evil forest. For you to get to that place, Efuru, the gatekeeper of the evil forest, has to take you in to that place and bring you out herself, so that the other spirits will not kill you. But it was next to impossible for Efuru, a spirit, to help any human being. Ikenna was not scared. He left and told Aguna he will be back. But Aguna, knowing how difficult the journey would be, did not believe him. Ikenna went to the Aku chief and told him all that had happened. The chief agreed that if Ikenna could get this pink flower and wake his daughter up, then he would help the Inguru people dethrone their king and allow Aguna to take over. So Ikenna set off and went into the evil forest. He knew the journey would be difficult, but he did not want Ugochi to die. Once in the evil forest, he came across an old woman who had fallen to the ground. There was a beast that had attacked her and was about to eat her. Ikenna shouted, and the beast turned and looked at him. Once the beast saw him, it forgot about the woman and chased Ikenna. Ikenna ran with all his might. As he ran, he saw a pit. He ran over it, but the beast did not see the pit in time. It ran into the pit and died. Ikenna went back to the woman, helped her up, and cleaned her bruises. The woman seemed surprised to see him. She looked at him in a strange way, saying, "Why are you here?" Ikenna explained that because of his love for Ugochi, he was here, and his success would mean peace between two villages. Once the woman heard of Nguru, her face seemed to brighten up. She asked, "Did you say you saw Aguna and that he's alive?" Ikenna said, "Yes, Aguna is alive." The woman turned and said, "Okay, I will take you. Follow me." And Ikenna followed the woman. As they walked through the forest, he could see beasts and spirits take a step back. It was as if the woman was the light and they were the darkness. Then they came upon a flower bed filled with pink flowers. The woman turned and looked at Ikenna and said, "My son, pick one. Cook the flower and give it to the girl to drink, and she would wake up." Ikenna picked one flower. He was so happy. He turned to leave, and the woman said, "Go through the left path, walk down that path, and you will come out to your village. Do not turn back, no matter what you hear." Ikenna thanked her and left. He ran towards the left path, and he walked very fast. He was almost at the end when he heard a baby girl cry, "Please help me, please help me." The voice seemed to be coming from his back. So he turned because he wanted to help the baby. He saw the young child on the floor as if her leg was tied to the bushes. So he took a step to help her. But the baby girl turned into a snake and rose up to strike him. But from nowhere, the old woman came out with her sword and cut the head of the snake. She turned to Ikenna and said, "I told you, do not turn back no matter what you hear. Run, run away now." Ikenna thanked her and ran. He ran with all his might, and then he came out in his village. He went straight to the palace and gave the king the pink flower. The flower was cooked and the water was given to Ugochi. Ugochi woke up. As agreed, the king took his warriors, and with Aguna's men, they overthrew the Nguru king and freed their people. Aguna took over the throne and brought prosperity and peace to his people. Then a peace pact was made between the Aku people and the Nguru people. To mark the success of this pact, a ceremony was held. That ceremony was the wedding ceremony of Ikenna and Ugochi. Thank you so much for listening to another
Africanfolktales.
Once upon a time, there lived a girl called Ibinabo. She grew up in the Ife village. When she became of marriageable age, she married Nonso. They were a happy couple. As was tradition, she joined the married women's group in her village, and with time, she became fast friends with a few of the members. However, as time went on, she became closer to Chika. This is because among the group, they were the only two who had been married for some time, but yet no children. They had been married for 5 years now, and a few members of the group would mock them and would call them barren women, while others would suggest herbalists and witch doctors that could help them. They both went to all the herbalists they could find, but every one of them said that Ibinabo and Chika were fine. The gods will give them children when the time is right. This news will always make them sad. Why was their own case different? Other women will give birth 1 year after getting married, but for them it's been 6 years now. This made their friendship stronger and they bonded even more. They spent time together and would not attend the group meetings together. One day, after a few months, Ibinabo realized that she was pregnant. She was so happy and overjoyed. How could this be, she said. The gods have finally come to my aid, she said. Chika was equally happy for her. They would spend time together preparing for the arrival of the baby. Each time Ibinabo would tell Chika, "Do not worry, your own child will come." After 9 months, Ibinabo gave birth to a baby girl. She named her Chizaram, which means God answered me. Chizaram was a beautiful baby. Everyone was happy for Ibinabo. There were weeks of celebration in her house. Everyone came to congratulate her. Because Ibinabo's mother lived far away in another village, Chika spent time with Ibinabo, helping her to take care of Chizaram. She will help to bathe the baby, dress her up, carry her to sleep, and play with her. Ibinabo was appreciative of her friend, all the while telling her that her own baby would come. One afternoon, Ibinabo and her baby were sleeping at home. Because the weather was so hot, they left the windows open. Her husband Nonso had gone to the farm. When Ibinabo woke up, she realized that Chizaram was not beside her in bed. She screamed and called out to her, but she heard no response. Chizaram was still a baby. Where could she have gone? Ibinabo searched the whole house. When she didn't find her, she went out screaming for her baby. Her neighbors came out asking what happened. When she explained that she could not find Chizaram, they all helped her find the baby. Some men had gone to the farm to inform Nonso. They searched everywhere but could not find Chizaram. At this point, Ibinabo was beside herself with grief. Who would do this to her? She had no enemies, no one. She was not a troublemaker. She minded her business and did not interfere with others. Weeks passed and no one could find Chizaram. Then the whispers started. Villagers started calling Ibinabo a witch who eats her babies. How can a woman who had been barren for so long now finally be blessed with a child and then lose the child? Some called her a bad mother, others called her a witch. All this made Ibinabo even sadder. Through it all, her friend Chika was beside her, comforting her and encouraging her, telling her she would have more children. But Ibinabo did not want more children. She wanted Chizaram back. Weeks passed and nothing. One day, Nonso and Ibinabo were in their home when they heard a goat crying in their compound. Although they had no goats, this was not strange as neighbors' goats and chickens would walk into anyone's compound at any time, so they thought nothing of it. The goat kept crying on, meh, meh, meh. It seemed like a baby goat. Annoyed, Nonso went out to chase the goat away. The goat would run away and then come back. Nonso was getting irritated. He told Ibinabo that tomorrow he would kill the goat and they could use it to cook a meal. Ibinabo did not care. All she cared about was her missing child. That night, when Ibinabo slept, she dreamed that she was in a forest. In that forest, she was calling out to Chizaram, but Chizaram did not respond. Ibinaba was about to turn and leave when she saw what looked like a goat hiding in the bushes. The goat kept looking at Ibinaba, and Ibinaba was surprised. Why was the goat hiding? She held out her hands to the goat to come, but the goat hesitated. After a while, the goat came out and walked slowly towards Ibinaba. When the goat got closer, Ibinaba carried the goat, and within minutes, the goat turned into Chizaram, her baby. Chizaram looked sad, unfed, and afraid. Ibinaba was amazed and happy. She was holding her baby, asking her where she had been. As she was talking to Chizaram, the baby was looking behind Ibinaba. She was afraid. It was as if she could see something at the back of Ibinaba. Ibinaba turned, but she could only see Chika. Chika was standing beside her, but then she was not. It was as if Chika could not see Ibinaba. All she could see was Chizaram, but Chizaram could see her. Her small face was filled with fear. Chika had what could only be described as an evil smile. Ibinaba, being afraid herself, spoke and said, "Chika, what are you doing here?" But Chika did not respond. She brought out a knife to stab the baby. That's when Ibinaba screamed and she woke up. The next day, when the goat came back crying, Ibinaba asked her husband not to kill it. She wanted to keep the goat since no one had claimed it. Her husband was surprised, but because she had just lost their baby, he did not want to upset her further and let her keep the goat. Goat would always come to Ibinaba and never leave her side. In the coming weeks, Chika announced that she was now pregnant, and everyone was happy for her, even Ibinaba. Ibinaba would spend time with Chika, helping her to prepare for the baby's coming. However, the other women would always tell Chika to leave Ibinaba before her bad luck rubbed off on her and she loses her own baby as she did. Ibinaba heard this and this made her sad, but Chika stood up for her and would shun such gossip. At this time, Chika was 8 months pregnant. She was due at any moment. One night, as Ibinaba and Nonso were sleeping, they heard their goats crying and running around, and they could hear voices. They came out, and to their surprise, they saw Chika and a man. Ibinaba asked her, "What is it? What is the problem? Is anything wrong with the pregnancy?" Chika looked flustered. She said, "Oh, nothing. It's just that I wanted to eat goat meat pepper soup and thought to take your goat as I do not have one." Nonso was the first to respond. "You want to eat goat meat this night?" He seemed taken aback and angry, but Ibinaba responded by saying, "It's okay, you can have the goat." But as she looked around, she could not see that goat. It had run away. Ibinaba promised that once the goat returned, she would kill it and make goat meat pepper soup for Chika. After all, every pregnant woman had their own food cravings. Chika seemed happy to hear this and left. Nonso was not happy. He asked Ibinaba, "Who comes in the middle of the night to steal their friend's goat? Why did she not ask you during the day?" Ibinaba shaded her husband, saying, "He doesn't understand the body and the cravings of a pregnant woman." At that, Nonso left it alone. For the few coming months, Chika was in a painful labor. She had been in enormous pain. This was the 11th month and she was still in labor. She was bleeding out. One of the herbalists brought in to help her told her husband Chinedu that this was not ordinary affliction. This was a punishment from the gods. This woman had done something terrible and now she had to confess, otherwise she would die. Chinedu was surprised. Everyone in the labor room was surprised. What could Chika have done? Chika, in the midst of screams and tears, asked her husband to go get Ibinaba for her. When Ibinaba arrived, to everyone's surprise, Chika confessed that she was the one who took Chizaram. She had gone to the Juju priest. She told him that she wanted to take Chizaram away, but not kill her. She wanted to be pregnant herself. So they agreed to turn Chizaram into a goat, and then Chika became pregnant. That goat that was always following Ibinaba was her baby girl, Chizaram. For Chizaram to turn back into a human being, Ibinaba had to call her name 3 times. Ibinaba burst out of the room and ran to her husband. Both of them searched the entire village looking for Chizaram. They would say, "Chi, Chi, it's me, Mama, come out." Ibinaba would cry and cry. What if somebody had already killed the goat for a meal? or maybe other wild animals had killed her, and so cried as well. Many villagers helped as well. Those who had goats counted their goats to see if they had extra one. Then Ibinabo found her. She had been resting under Nonso's big mango tree. He had planted that tree on his farm. When she was just a little baby, they would keep her under the mango tree while they harvested their crops. Ibinabo went to her and then called out her name 3 times. And then the goat changed back into Chizaram, and everyone was happy. Chika finally gave birth. She gave birth to a goat. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. If you liked it, please subscribe, like, comment, share. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Thank you to those who have supported. Until next time, goodbye.